I gotta get rid of that graphic. Hi, everybody. We're here. That one. All right, we're here.
Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Right Spotlight. I'm your host, Kellen Ann.
And your other host, co-host, Brian Monahan, and technical director. We moved platforms this week so that it would go better, right?
Yep. It's gone better, though, than the first week, so that's for sure.
Yeah, we're getting there. So
Yes.
yeah, I got to relearn StreamYard. I haven't been on it in like a year and a half. So they got new features and new things. So, but we're here, we're talking. So
And be careful, he gave me control this week. So
I know. Yeah,
you're gonna regret that.
You're gonna
So
be
with
having
this, the Right Spotlight, it's our show. We are both authors, and we wanted to share our experiences and find other amazing authors to share their experiences. So if you're ready to write a book or you're wanting to write a book, this is definitely the show that you want to listen to. We got Brian, who gets you to the finish line in what, 90 days?
Yeah, I mean, I've had 2 clients pull it off in about 90 days, and that's doable. But you know, probably 3 to 6 months is an ideal window for a typical focused book project. So,
Nice.
And then of course, it's always more fun to talk about somebody else than yourself.
Yes.
So we got Kellen Ann here, Cards at Wow. And when you're finished writing that book in 60 to 90 days or 3 to 6 months, I'm going to hand you off to her, and she's going to help you get the right interviews. She's going to help promote you and make you look amazing with her Cards at Wow and her videos at Wow and all that stuff that she has. So
today this month we have the British invasion. We've got some amazing guests from over the pond. It's my friends that I met through our first guest, Michael Heppell. He introduced me to all these wonderful people. Richard, the end of the line, he's watching right now. He's going to be our guest in 3 weeks. So that's going to be exciting.
I'm stoked. Yeah, I mean, I love all the the international authors that you've built relationships with, and I've definitely been looking forward to catching up with Michael here today. He has been on, one of my most exciting. Sorry, everybody. I've been looking forward to seeing Michael here on the show. So,
me too. I mean, I'm not going to be really technical, but he's written like a gajillion books. Okay.
Yeah, I think you understated that. I think.
he's a top 3 in the world speaker. He's just he's my mentor. He helped me get Wagmore. He helped me get my Wagmore across the finish line. And I'm not even going to delay. We're going to bring him in right now because I've got a million things to ask him. And if you people have questions, feel free to, put them in the comments and we'll get the answers for you.
All right, here we come. Let's bring on Michael.
There he is. Oh,
I lost him already.
Come back, Michael. Come back.
All right.
He's here.
We wanted to mess with you a little bit.
Yeah. We're talking about technical difficulties today.
Ain't that the truth? Messing with me.
Oh my gosh. So I only have a couple of your, I just grabbed these. This is the first book that I ever got that was written by you. My first experience with you. And then Write That Book, which is the master class.
You mispronounced that, Kellen.
What did I say?
You said Write That Book.
Oh, geez.
Everybody knows.
No, Write That Book.
Write that
book.
Come on, Kellen.
I'm sorry. I'm just excited. Okay. And then you redid 17.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you the book that is dearest to my heart is How to Love a Pug.
That's special.
This is my book. Yes. So tons of questions. I'm not sure where we want to start.
How's that work? We want Michael up big, right? Does that work for you, Kellen?
Works for me. I don't want to be big.
Oh, we want everybody to see Michael.
And people want to hear him, not me. So
I know.
So
that could change.
Alan says he waited as he knows firsthand about tech issues. Yeah. So
he trained us.
Michael, thank you for being so patient with us today.
You know what? No one cares. It's fine. We're here. We're having a chat. People are going to watch this. They're going to see it on replay. It's all going to be good.
So, I have a smattering of questions. When you decided to republish 17,
Yeah.
so is there a certain what warrants you to republish a book? Is there a certain amount of changes that you made, or additions, subtractions? I mean, what warrants a republish of a book?
The main reason was I didn't print enough copies the first time round. So I made a fundamental error. Let me just get straight into this, right? This is a classic thing that authors do, even experienced authors, right? So I've gone steamed up with the excitement here. Let me just unsteam my glasses for a second so I can tell you about this. So so basically 17 came around during lockdown. Everybody's doing their stuff online. And I set up this pop-up group called 17. I was also doing Write That Book. And I thought, I should write a book called 17. And let's just show people that you can do it, in 90 days. It's Brian's thing, do it in 90 days. So I wrote 17, and I decided to do a limited edition hardback, and I would only print X number of copies. And I got in my head, I thought, well, it's a funny time and people aren't so sure about stuff. Let's do 1,000 copies and I'll number them and sign them. And I sold them all in 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
And I wish I'd chosen 5,000. So I was stuck to my word. I thought, I'm not going to print anymore.
Right.
I don't want to do 17 and then kind of, and now there's an extra 500 or whatever.
Right.
So I thought, right, next year I'll do the paperback. And that was 3 years ago. And then this year I eventually did it. So I procrastinated like only an author could, and then eventually did the new edition. But then there were some bits that I'd missed out and some bits that weren't as good. And with any revised edition, normally what you have is an editor with a publisher. You'll have an editor who would say, right, we need this. Can you put something in about that? Could you take that out? Could you change this? Can you update it? So I've got some of my books that are on their 4th edition now. Wow. And you kind of think, what else can I say? A good editor will tell you what else you need to say. Mm-hmm. Well, my editor for 17 was Team 17. So I've got a group of people, 140, who are telling me what they want in. They didn't know they were telling me what they wanted in, but because we're saying we're doing a live, we'll talk about this, or people would do their streams themselves, little things where they're sharing information. And if you listen, you can pick up what people want to hear, and that's what you put in your book. So it's an interesting balance between what you're going to take out, what you're going to leave in, what you're going to improve, and what you're going to add. But I think I did a pretty good job with the new edition of 17.
Oh, love it. I give you a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Well, should I buy both editions, Michael? Oh, I can't even get the old edition, can I? Unless I secondhand
on eBay.
All right, I'll have to look for that.
On eBay for $45 or something. It's crazy.
Maybe I'll sell mine. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a good idea.
No, mine are autographs, so I'm not going to. So that's the other part of my question is a limited edition strategy. Like, I mean, you obviously kind of wish you wouldn't have gone quite so low in your limit.
Do you know, limited editions are interesting. If you're going to do a limited edition, you must put a number on it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, because of the work that we've been doing, I get a lot of people who will say, oh, my book's come out, it's a limited edition. They don't say how many copies.
Right.
That's worthless. What they're doing is they're trying to work out how many to do as a limited edition. Mm-hmm. So you need to put a number on it. And it's just about being brave with that and set the total. You don't have to print them all at once. If you're self-publishing and you say, I'm going to do a limited edition of 1,000, you could print 250 and see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And if you sell those really quickly, then do another 500. And if you sell those, then do the last 250. That's not a bad way to do it, to keep cash flow alive for a self-published author. Mm-hmm. I think we kind of get in our heads this old idea where you have to print all of the books all at once. Right. Mm-hmm. And that was the old days where people have still got a garage full of books that weren't sold. I've got some terrible tales about that.
See, that was the beauty of Amazon, because I printed them in lots of 250 and 500. I didn't have to do 1,000 and so when you're numbering books, do you have to have a limited edition to number it, or can you number the first 100?
Well, I think you've got to have a number, because the very first edition I wrote number 1 of 999, number 2 of, and I did it like that. When I did the 17 blue, with that one there, I just literally put the number in because we did 500, and I did 500.
I'm number 5.
Yeah, I did 520 actually in the end because there was a slight overrun, which was good. But the first one, that is time consuming. It took days. That little extra time of writing 76 of 999.
Yes.
That just takes forever. It really does.
Yeah, I think the hardest part of being an author is actually signing your own books. It's the hardest part because you have to bring them in, physically work with them, and it's not, Amazon's made it so easy that you can actually just. So it can be a challenge, obviously.
Yeah. My record for signing books is I once did close to 4,000 in a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were doing a big event, and when you're a speaker, a great thing to do is to say, would you like to have books for the people in the audience? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. And I always used to say, would you like books? I'll sign them. And when it was smaller events, 200-300 people, it's fine. It's exciting. And we were doing this really big event at the International Conference Center in Birmingham. And somebody said, oh, your books, can you do us a deal? I was like, yeah, I'll give you my author's discount. So we give them a bit of an extra discount on the books. I said, would you sign? And I went, yeah, no problem at all. Oh, how many did you want? And they said, that was about 4,000. You think they'll be there? And so we set up a system. We had these big tables, and I sat, and all I did was wrote. The other thing was, it wasn't How to Be Brilliant, because How to Be Brilliant, I can write Be Brilliant, Michael, really quickly. It was my book called 5-Star Service, 1-Star Budget. And in there, I always write, you're a star, and then sign it. You're a star takes longer to write than Be Brilliant.
Yes.
And you can't have any interruption. You can't listen to music with lyrics. It just has to. So we have this album that we listen to. And I say we because Christine passes me the books. And then we would have somebody at the other end moving them on. And it was just that, you're a star, Michael. You're a star, Michael. And do that. And the reason you can't have the interruptions, it's a great story. There was a football manager, soccer manager in the UK, a guy called Bobby Robson, who managed the England team. And he also managed my local club, Newcastle United. And when his autobiography came out, there was a massive queue. There must have been several thousand people in the queue. And they waited for 6 or 7 hours to get their books signed by this legend, Bobby Robson. And one guy got right at the front of the queue and he said, have you signed a lot of those, Bobby? And he went, thousands, son, thousands. And then he picked up the book and he walked away and opened up and said, best wishes, Bobby Thousands.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
My biggest trouble is getting all the pugs to stand still so I can put their footprints in.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You need to teach them how to sign books.
I actually, the second time I ran them, I put pre-printed pug prints.
Of course.
You learn something every time, right?
Definitely.
What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned, like from early on?
I think from early on, see, I was traditionally published earlier. So I would, be wanting to pitch my books to publishers. And I was very lucky that my first book was a very big success. It was huge. And so I then thought, right, okay, because this book's been so successful, the next one will just fall into place. It just will happen. And it doesn't happen like that. Every single one has to be a separate project. And every single one needs its own marketing. Michael Heppell's new book's out. People won't buy it because of that. They need a reason.
Right.
Like, well, what's in it for me? And it's not a lot of money. It's, £10.99 or whatever, but they still need a reason. Right. And I was very fortunate that I worked with an amazing publisher for the first 10 years of my writing life, somebody called Rachel Stock. And Rachel, in the UK, for business books and non-fiction books, you would look at the chart. So in the UK, you've got W.H. Smith's Travel. That is the place to find business books and personal development books. And they have a chart. In the top 10 for over, it must have been about 7 or 8 years, Rachel had 5 of the top 10 books were hers.
Wow.
Staggering statistic. I mean, just She was the best by a mile. And she used to give me advice and thoughts on things. And sometimes, talking amongst friends here, I really hated it. I was like, I've had 4 bestsellers now. Oh, this is happening, that's happening. And do you really think I don't know that? And actually, she was spot on every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So getting people who are experts at what they do, listening to those people and applying the ideas, that is a massive lesson. Absolutely massive.
Yes. That's why I had you. You were my expert.
Well, and I have people who help me. That's what we do. We all help each other.
So the 17 group, how many books did you end up publishing? How people publishing books, do you know, out of that group so far?
17 isn't about writing books. That book is about writing books.
Okay.
So we set up so the way this came about, Brian, it was another one of those. I mean, God, every time you hear somebody on the TV talking about their books these days, it was during lockdown, during the pandemic. It's just like this moment in our lives where things changed. So I went from being on stage at least 2 or 3 times a week, traveling around the world. I'm lucky I travel with my wife, which is great. And then at the end of 1999, we were looking. Sorry, 2019.
19.
I went a long way back there.
You're going way back, Michael.
I went a lot. Christy and I were talking about what we wanted to do in 2020. And she said, I want to travel a lot less. So I said, I'll make sure that happens. Now, starting a global pandemic wasn't my plan. But
yeah, I mean,
certainly we're
going
to
Michael.
We've been away from home 159 nights in 2019.
Wow.
So that's a lot of time on the road. And sometimes it is glamorous. Sometimes it's, Barcelona on a Friday and you can stay there for the weekend, which is fabulous. Other times it was, Stoke. You don't know where Stoke is, do you? But Stoke on a wet Wednesday morning, it's as bad as it sounds. So it was. So we did a lot of different stuff. And then I had a group called I still have a group called How to Be Brilliant. And I asked that group, what do you want me to teach you? This thing's happening. I want to teach them stuff. So I can teach you 5-star service. I can teach you how to be brilliant. I can do how to save an hour every day. These are all my books, all the different things. And then literally at the last minute, I was sending out one of those survey monkeys. I just added one more line which said how to write a book. And 75% of people clicked on how to write a book.
Wow.
So I set up the first pop-up just to see if there was interest.
That was so fun. I love that pop-up. Oh my gosh.
It was. Do you know the wonderful thing about that, Calnan, was that nobody quite knew where it was going to end up. Would anybody write a book? Was it going to happen or whatever? And there was a few people who really just grasped it and were like, right, I'm in, I'm ready. This is my moment. And you'll know when you work with people, when their moment is right, they become so laser focused. And there was a few people who did that, and I thought, wow, they're going to write, publish, and sell their books. And I used to coach people one-to-one on how to do this beforehand. I had some quite good success with that. But suddenly we had 100 people in this group who were going to do it. So we did the masterclass, ended up doing 6. And so far, I think there's over 200 have published. So if you look at these shelves behind me, that one with Brilliant on, and the one with the thing at the top, other than the Write That Books and 17s in the middle, they are all published by Write That Book people in these 2 blocks straight up there.
Love it.
And then the one straight behind me, they're all mine, but in different languages.
See, a gazillion. I said he wrote a gazillion books.
I mean, you can get gazillion on the screen. So.
No. And you know what? It's still a joy every time a package arrives, and I do these unboxing videos. It is such a joy to get the packages. But there was one package which arrived, which was just completely blew my mind. And it's this one.
I believe you were speechless.
Bits here. But when this package arrived and I opened, hang on, I have to be very careful I don't have everything drop out like that. Look at that. It was just the greatest ever unboxing.
That was fun.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I do you know, every so often I just get that out and have a little look. just watch it again, just to give me some joy. It's brilliant.
I love that Christine loved the candle.
Yeah. Oh, the candle's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
So let's talk about ancillary items with books. I mean, people sometimes just write books, but like I created a whole experience. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think it just matters on the type of book or your audience, or?
Well, look, if it's really well thought out and it's as good a quality as what you've done, go for it. Great. Yeah. It's brilliant. If it's sticking the pencil in or a key ring and hoping I'm going to do something with that, I think you're wasting your money. Mm-hmm. Don't bother. There's got to be a reason for something to be there. That's the key. And a pencil isn't a reason. And sometimes people send me. So I know there's a package just arrived today, actually, from Geordie Jill. And she's written a cookery book. And I know she sent me food.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm really excited about opening that package. This is what I'm doing after I've done this. I'm going to open that package, and I know there will be food in there to go with the cookery book. Perfect. That is absolutely perfect. After, if she sent me a mixing bowl, brilliant. If she sent me a spoon, brilliant. Right. If she sends me a notepad, yeah.
Unless it's from Kellen, unless she designed it.
Well, then it makes sense.
Well, yeah, because it was a whole experience. It's like you're self-helping, journaling, enjoying coffee, smelling nice smells. Yeah.
Well, I think the auxiliary items though is even your group 17. That's an add-on to your book as well, so to speak, right?
Well, the thing with 17, we when we wrote the book. I always say we, by the way, because I get my name on the front, but I write everything with my wife. I write it first, then she makes it make sense, then gives it back to me, and then we kind of work it out between us. When we did that, there's a few things that a book will always do. Is one, it's going to give you credibility. Mm-hmm. So when people see a book, they're much more likely to want to get involved with something that's online. People are a little bit suspicious about things that are online still. Yeah. If it goes with a book, that's good. The other thing is its longevity. So books are so accessible, long after I've gone, people will still have a copy of 17 on their shelves, which I think is just a glorious thing. Long after Team 17, the group goes, and one day it will. I'm conscious of that. Nothing lasts forever, but a book will. I think that's great.
I always like to say...
Oh, go ahead.
I always like to say it's fun that, to think about it, your book actually makes it into somebody's bedroom on their nightstand. I mean, how personal can you get there? So, I mean, it's there looking at you, so if you can get something into somebody's bedroom, you're definitely building trust, right?
Yeah. Do you know what the best feeling ever, though?
What?
Is when you see somebody who you don't know reading your book.
Yes.
Oh, that is good.
and that happened with this one, with How to Be Brilliant, when it was first published.
Yes,
and I was on a train and looked across, and I thought, God, it looks like they've got my book. And then they just kind of moved it down a little bit. And I said to Christine, they're reading How to Be Brilliant. And she said, don't do anything. I mean, what a thing to say to me. What a thing to say to me.
Don't do anything.
I kind of just sidled up close by, and I looked, and I went, and by then they'd kind of put it down off to one side. I went, oh, How to Be Brilliant. Is it any good? And as soon as those words left my mouth, I thought, what if they say, no, it's dreadful. It's crap. Don't bother. then I would go, okay, I won't. And then I also thought, if they say it's really great, then that's the word. It's fishing for compliments. So suddenly, the second I said it, I thought, "Oh God, I wish I hadn't done that." But anyway, it was fine. So, and they went, "Oh yeah, it's brilliant. It's really, really great." And I went, "Oh, thanks a lot." I wrote it. I thought I'm just going to tell them straight. I wrote, and they went, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Michael Heppell." And they went, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, really, I am."
Because there's so many people impersonating you, right?
Test me.
Well, so you're gonna have to update your picture.
Yeah, well, I don't know if there was a one in there. Oh, there was.
If it's from 1985.
Look at that. Look at the state of me on there.
Why doesn't mine have a picture?
I'm 30 pounds heavier on there than I am now. Oh dear.
Yeah, mine doesn't have a picture.
That's what I should have just said. Look at the picture in the back. It's me.
This one, the only picture I have is you. This is actually How to Have a Brilliant Life. So
you know what, Callum? That book, that's my favorite book of mine.
I like it too. I mean, I've read it like 3 times, and
that was one of the follow-ups. This one has sold less copies than any of my other books.
it doesn't make sense. This should be like number one.
No idea why, but it just didn't work with the public.
You know, one of the things that I learned through the master class that I feel was important is know why you're writing your book. And like, I knew I wasn't going to become a world-class author, New York Times bestseller or anything like that. But it helped me hone in to write it as a legacy to my daughter. And that actually the words came out easier once I had decided what the reason I was writing it. So do you agree that that's a very important?
Totally. It's that thing about, because you are going to get sick of it at one point. So knowing why you're doing it is one of the things that keeps you going with it. There's a lot of. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit there, just because I'm just to realize I'm sharing too much of my space. There we are. There's a lot of people who say, write a book. It's the best business card you can ever have, and that is BS. Right?
I agree.
But for several reasons. Number one, it's only a brilliant business card if you're getting it to people who normally wouldn't know about you.
Right.
The vast majority of people are giving their books or selling their books to people who they already know, or to their tribe of people who they've built up with that. So unless it's with a publisher who's going to get your book away out there. Secondly, it needs to be a brilliant book, because otherwise, if you're handing out your business card, your book, and it's not very good, you've had AI write it, and you've knocked the thing out, and you haven't really thought about it, and you've left your best stuff out because you're going to use that when you do it live, and all that rubbish that people talk about. Then people are going to look at your book and go, well, this is pretty crap. I've never used them anyway. So it's very important that you understand why you're doing it. Then you put in your very best work. And that's another mistake that people make, is that they just, I mentioned before, they leave out really important stuff. Why would you do that? You should lead with your best stuff. The vast majority, especially in business and personal development books, a lot of people don't even read the whole book. So you might as well put your best stuff in first, so people love what you're about. Great.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing in life and business. People are always holding back, thinking that's, I'm going to save this for another day. And then they never get to experience how great you are or how brilliant you are for that future opportunity.
What's that about?
Or they think you're just not that smart, because it's like, why didn't they, this is like this mediocre information. I don't want to hire or meet with this person. I mean, give your best. Show them that you're above mediocre.
Where's Alan asking the question? What length of books do you find sell best? And how many words is 17? Never too long, only too boring. Never too short, only too sparing.
Oh, very good.
That is the answer to that one, Alan. When people kind of go, there was a sketch show in the UK called Little Britain. And in there, one of the characters used to pretend to be Barbara Cartland. And she would be lying there on a sofa, eating chocolates, and then talking, and then saying to her assistant, how many words? How many words? Because she had to do so many words in each of her novels. And she would go, it's 97,432. Oh. So then he walked down the hill, and his arms swept and moved and changed and developed and flowed, and just loads of random words to try and build up the word count. And people would laugh at this. I see people doing it now.
Yeah.
I see it so often where people think their book needs to be a certain length. And the worst one, and I hate to say it, is when people write their autobiography or their memoir. Because they think, and I'm just being brutally honest here, they think their lives are really interesting. And they are to them. But remember, if you're writing a memoir, it has to be interesting to the people who are going to buy the book.
Right.
And so that story that you tell, which seems hilarious to you, about when you fell over picking raspberries when you were 12, no one cares. Get into where's the juicy stuff? That's the thing. And I've seen people that kind of go, oh, I've written my memoir. It's 180,000 words. And I'm thinking, wow, I read Mick Jagger's and it wasn't that long. So if Mick Jagger can do his and it's 90,000 words,
right,
and the life he's had,
Yeah.
how come yours is 180,000?
See, Alan says, I asked that because I've been asked to do a shorter version of one of my books because it's a huge textbook and some people want shorter.
Great. Well, make it shorter, Alan.
I think
if in doubt, here's the thing, Alan. If in doubt, take it out. Right? Just go through your whole book with a highlighter and have green. It definitely has to stay in. Red, it's going to go out. And amber, orange, it may or may not stay in. Have an approximation of how it's going to be, and then obviously take out all the red, probably take out most of the amber, and tidy up the green.
I think one of the best lessons we had in the pop-ups when you would give us like an assignment, describe this in 150 words, or you wouldn't let us go over a certain amount of words. And I'm going to tell you that has probably helped me clean up more of my writing than any other lesson that you've given, because you don't realize how much is in there that you don't really need.
Totally. Yeah. I write 2 newsletters a week. My big one that goes out on a Thursday, I think probably 3 times out of 4, I write it and then I remove the first paragraph. Mm-hmm. And it reads better because I took out the first paragraph. Because normally what you're doing, the first part, you're warming up.
Right.
You write some rubbish in there that people don't really need. If you go straight in with that second paragraph first, it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. That was one of our lessons too. I mean, that was in one.
Yeah.
See, I paid attention.
You did. That's why you've written a brilliant book.
Yeah, I think in today's world, everybody is, used to the LinkedIn feed and the Facebook feed. So you got to hook them right away. And even in your book, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, do you write down as far as like 5th grade reading level, like newspapers when I worked at them, the stories were written at a 5th grade reading level. Do you have to do that, or what is your theory on that?
I just write at a 5th grade level. That's my ability.
Oh my God.
Listen, this is my thing. I often say to people this, my books are an easy read because they're written by a simple person. And if I look at some of my 1-star reviews on Amazon, which I don't like to do, but all authors do, usually they say this guy's dumbing down, or it's very basic, or whatever. And I go, you know what? Yes, it is. But I got a Sunday Times #1 bestseller by writing a book that was very basic, that was very simple, that was about one idea.
Right.
But people loved it, and the ones who didn't love it, fine, it's not for them. Mm-hmm. As long as you bought it, that's great. I don't want someone to do a review of a book that they borrowed from a friend. As long as they bought it as an author, I'm thinking, great, I'll have my commission. That's all good. And I'm joking about that. You don't make a lot of money from books.
Next time you can just send me a 5-spot.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Don't wait. I won't waste your time, and you just cut to the chase.
Definitely get straight on with it. Yeah, keep it simple, Caroline. That's my philosophy. Very much so.
I agree.
Is there anything that you do different writing a book now than you did from your one gazillion ago?
Yeah,
what's the shift?
Dictation. Okay. Oh my goodness, I use dictation software all the time now. I'm a good talker, so and dictation. I used to try and use it. There was a thing called Dragon Dictate. If you remember that, about 20 years ago. I remember that. And it didn't like my accent. It didn't like book and stuff like that. And people say, "Oh, you have to teach it," and it was really hard to teach. And now I use this thing called Otter AI, and it is so accurate. It's scary. And it'll do, and I just literally talk into this thing. And then I get it and I bring it back up on my screen. And if there's a bit that I don't quite understand, you click on it and you hear your voice. So you know what it was that you were meant to say. And then you can change that. So I can write a lot faster now. As long as I know what I'm doing, I can write a lot faster. One of the challenges with dictation software is you have to do a strong first edit.
Mhm.
Because what you say and what you write, we can have a chat and I can repeat myself. When we look at doing the written version, you can't repeat yourself. You've got to be, because people can look back if they need to. You don't have to repeat. So it's really important that you get a good first edit. What else do I use now that I didn't used to? I self-publish now. That's the other thing. My last 2 books have been self-published. Before that, I was with Pearson and Hodder, 2 of the biggest publishers in the world. And I'm really pleased I'm doing it that way now.
What's the best part about self-publishing for you?
Speed, undoubtedly speed. The frustration of signing a book deal and then them saying it'll come out in 15 months from now.
Shoo.
When you're ready. I mean, you are ready to go, and it's 15 months because everything in publishing takes forever. The other thing is that even if you sign a book deal, you're going to do the marketing.
You have to do all the work anyway.
Yeah, you're going to do the work, and so you might as well make more money from it. The reach, it used to be that you could say, well, if I go with a publisher, my reach is going to be a lot better. I know people who've signed book deals thinking they were going to be in bookshops, and they've done that initial thing where they've promoted the book like crazy. The publishers have sold their first 2,500 copies, and then after that, people have to order their book the same way as they would if it was self-published.
Right.
So, yeah,
and probably more expensive too.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the other thing. I remember my first with How to Be Brilliant. When I signed this deal, I was so excited because that was all I wanted. I just wanted that bit there. I wanted Michael Heppell on the front of the book. I didn't care if I sold 1 or 10 copies. Now, as it happened, that went into the top 10 business books in the UK and stayed there for 2 years and 4 months.
Wow.
Which was brilliant. So we picked up a huge amount of work because it was forefront in people's minds all the time. And Michael Heppell became quite well known because of these things that were coming in all the time, books that were coming in. Now, even getting books faced is very difficult unless you're a celebrity. So they want the celebs on the front. That's who they want.
Yep.
In bookshops, they're saying, okay, well, the Dragon's Den people or Shark Tank, as you call it, let's put. Hello.
Sorry.
Let's put those people on the front. If you're a children's author, it must be terrible now. If you're a children's author, unless you're a celebrity children's author, you're not going to get any shelf space. Even if you've got a good book deal, you're still not going to get the same space as somebody who's already doing well, so I get under my high horse a little bit with this one. They're already an actor, they've already got a big following, and now, okay, let's get somebody to ghostwrite a kid's book for them, and then they go around, and because they're a famous person, they get to go on the TV shows and do all that type of stuff. I think that's a shame. We have to, us independent, private authors, we just have to outwork people. That's what we've got to do. We've got to be smarter. We've got to build better relationships. We've got to keep pushing all the time.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people think being published is better, but it doesn't necessarily mean your book's going to go any further, without marketing. And if you don't already have that audience, it's just going to sit there anyway. So, and then you have to work.
The other thing, Brian, is people don't realize once you sign a book deal, you don't own that book anymore. They own it. So if you kind of go, oh, I want to do another edition, you can only do that with the permission of the publisher. And if they say no, that's it. And my first deal, I didn't realize, but I sold the audio rights in with the book deal. Since then, I've always done what's called a carve-out deal on audio rights, because audio I knew was getting bigger and bigger. So my publisher said, right, okay, for How to Be Brilliant, we're going to do a live event and we're going to record it, and that's going to be the audio version. And they resold it to a company called Red Audio, who promptly went bust. So the audio version of How to Be Brilliant, nobody could get it.
Oh, wow.
Because it wasn't the book, it was just me doing my live thing, and it was on CD only.
Oh, gee.
So, yeah, you bring up a good point. I have let's see what write that book. Okay, I have that.
That
But
book.
book. Yeah, I broke it, but I listened to it first,
Yeah.
and it was brilliant. I loved it. It was, and then to go back and read it after you've listened to it is very powerful because it's actually easier to digest it. So, what part of audio is that a good part of your sales?
Oh gosh, it's fantastic. I mean, audio is superb. It's so accessible now. Everybody's got one of these. Everyone's got a smartphone. So it's not a case of having to put a CD in the car. It's there. It's accessible 24 hours, 7 days a week, anytime. It's so much easier to do. The technology's there. You can record reasonably good enough quality audio at home. You used to have to go to a studio. Now you can do it. You can get a decent mic. You can get one of those little surrounds, put a towel on your desk, stay nice and close. I recorded a program called Voice That Book. And you can, if you haven't listened to that, it's superb. It tells you step by step exactly what to do to record your own audio book. And the number of people now who thought, I could never do it. I hate the sound of my own voice. Well, guess what? Everybody hates the sound of their own voice. Get over it. Listen to it back a couple of times. The software to edit it is free. I mean, that's brilliant. You can get all the software for free. And then the distribution methods, they're also free. You don't even have to print the things.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's my next step is the audio version. Because like in the book, it was hard to write in words their snorkeling noises and things like that. And like with an audio, you can actually make the noises.
You should and definitely record the sounds of the pogues because
they have
a unique sound.
I do. I have recordings of them sleeping, they're snoring and snorkeling. Because if I go somewhere and they're not with me, it's too quiet. I can't sleep. So I play it on a loop. So I fall asleep. I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't sleep with quiet. I need snorkeling.
Has anybody got another question?
Let's see. Stop. Be nice. Be nice.
Yes, Phil. Voice that book.
Okay, how about inspiration? Like, what inspired you to write your first book? Was it getting a message out?
No, well, what happened was I used to teach how to be brilliant. It was initially a 2-day course, and we'd do that, and people would come up and say, you should write a book about this. But I didn't think I could write a book. I had this absolute firm belief that I couldn't do it, and so I recorded an audio program. And it was one of those 6 CD sets. Do you remember those? The 6 CDs. So I did this 6 CD set, and it was super fun doing it. I had to go to a studio, all that type of thing. And then I met a guy called David Bell, who was the HR director of Pearson, the publishers. And I met him for another reason, and I gave him a copy of How to Be Brilliant, the CDs, as a gift. And I said to him, I'd like to give you these. And he looked at the cover and he went, is this a book? I said, it's not. He went, well, it should be. I said, it's funny you should say that because I've set a goal, actually, that I'm going to write a book this year. And he went, I'll introduce you to somebody who might be able to help you. So he introduced me to this lady, Rachel Stock, who I mentioned before from Pearson. And between the time I met him and meeting Rachel, I totally convinced myself that I was going to get a publishing deal with Pearson and that my book would be published later that year. So the Thursday before the Easter weekend, I met Rachel in this hotel in a city called Leeds, and we started chatting, and I was telling her about How to Be Brilliant, and I was all my usual passionate, enthusiastic self. And eventually she said, okay, I've got it. I understand it. Great. Let's do it. Let's produce the book. We'll publish it. I was like, oh, yes, this is amazing. This is fantastic. I can't believe it. And I said, so when will it come out? And she said, well, aim for probably June. I went, oh, that's quick. So no, next June. I said, no. I've set a goal. That my book's going to be published this year. And she said, well, that can't happen. I mean, that's only 9. It was 8 or 9 months, something like that. I said, but there's always a way, Rachel. What's the way? And she said, the only possible way we could do it is if it was already written, because I have another author who's actually just missed their deadline twice now. So I'm just about to sack them. And you could maybe have their slot, but I would need a finished manuscript. And I went, it is written. And she looked me in the eye and went, really? You haven't mentioned that? I went, yeah. I've already written it. She said, okay, well, can I have the manuscript? Well, give me it after the weekend. I was like, yeah, no problem at all. You'll have it for Tuesday. At that point, I hadn't written a word.
I knew it.
But I knew what I needed to do. So I remember I finished that lunch, and it's 100 miles from home. And I got in the car and I rang Christine, and I said, cancel everything this weekend. I said, why? What's happening? I said, we're writing a book. And we wrote How to Be Brilliant in 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
So the first thing we did was my brilliant PA at the time, Doreen. I said, Doreen, will you type the transcript of the audio program? So she did that. And then we started to write stuff, and we were producing things, and it kind of got to the Sunday night, and the book was starting to come together in some sort of an order. And I remember Christine saying, right, I think we're just about there. And I was like, it's not right. There's something not right. And I said, I know what it is. It's chapter 3. It's too short. She said, everything's in there that you need. And I said, no, but it's too short. It's definitely too short. I'm going to write an extra couple of thousand words to pad it out. So I had to pad it out with an extra couple of thousand words. Anyway, so I did that. And then we sat up on I think it was the Monday night, printing this book. And it took ages because you had to have a printed manuscript. And then I got in touch with Rachel and I said, I missed the post, but don't worry, I'm coming to Leeds anyway. I'll drop it off. No way was I going to Leeds.
I love it.
I drive 100 miles. I handed over the manuscript. She was like, oh, wow, this was still warm from the printer. And then 2 weeks later, package arrived, and it was the what they call editor's pen. And in those days, they literally used to do it with a red pen. So I'd been back at school. And she would write all these notes in different places. And there was so much red pen on this document. I was devastated, actually, because I thought it was really good when we handed it over. And the best bit, though, was at the top of chapter 3. She said, Michael, there's a problem with the beginning and the end of this chapter. They're too far apart. See if you can lose 2,000 words, exactly the amount that I'd put in to pad it out. I was like, yeah, I can easily do that. Just go back to the revised edition that I'd saved before. And then when the 10th anniversary edition of How to Be Brilliant came out, I got in touch with Rachel and I said, I want to put this story in the front of the book. Here's the story. And I told her the story and she went, yeah, no problem at all. I said, you don't seem surprised. She said, Michael, when you said to me you'd written it, do you honestly think that I thought that you had? I was like, yeah, I thought I got away with it. She said, I knew that you hadn't, but also I knew that you would.
Wow.
Wow.
That was the thing. It was like, no, that was a real moment. I knew that you would. You were determined. You were so determined. And she wrote a book called The Insider's Guide to Getting Your Book Published. And in there she has this graph about high impact and low impact, and high maintenance and low maintenance. And you kind of create this graph. And what you want as a publisher is for an author to be high impact, low maintenance,
right,
in that particular place. And just some of them, they're so high maintenance. They're all the famous ones, or all that. And they can also not be particularly high impact. Mm-hmm. And in the front of that book, she said to Michael, my favorite high impact, low maintenance author.
Oh,
nice. I was
like,
wow. Yes, that's what
that's a tribute.
Yeah,
that is.
That was brilliant.
So bring back Phil's comment. This is a wonderful live stream. Hearing Michael make a committed decision and step into it. Very true. Very true.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things. It's simple to say, but and a lot of people say, I'm going to write a book. And I say, you know what? 12 months from now, you'll have a book or an excuse.
Right.
But you won't have both.
That's the truth.
And that excuse thing is just We hear it again and again and again. So creating accountability, making sure that you've got to do something that will genuinely drive you, creating a discipline, all that type of stuff. That's what I love about seeing these books up here, because these people, they did it. You know what? And have I read them all? No, of course I haven't read them all. Have I read lots of them? Yes, I have. Are some better than others? Yes, some are a lot better than others. Doesn't matter though. It's that thing to be able to say, you know what? I wrote a book. I wrote a book. Can you say that? If you can, great. If not, well, you've got an excuse.
Exactly. So, Brian, you want to ask our last question?
Yeah, I think walking away, if you had one piece of advice for an emerging author, what would it be?
You need to write every single day. And it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. It's the discipline of writing every day. That's the key. And one of the things that I talk about, and I hope I'm allowed a small profanity, is just write shite. It doesn't matter, because if it's impossible to write absolute shite for 17 minutes. So just set your timer. Hey Siri, 17-minute countdown, and then just start to write. And Siri will, count your times down. And at the end of it, when you look back, I promise you, there will be some gems in there. There might be some rubbish stuff in there, but at the end of the day, that discipline is what will get you through. Every single day.
Wonderful advice. Wonderful. So,
go ahead.
Do you have another follow-up, Callum?
No, I was just say thank you so much for being here and giving all this wonderful information to our viewers. And I just love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Mutual Admiration Society.
So people can go out to michaelheppell.com. They find you just about anywhere. Type Michael Heppell into Google, I'm sure.
Yeah. And writethatbook.co.uk has some of the other stuff that we've been talking about.
Great.
It's just a normal book. No extra O's in there.
No extra O's.
Yeah.
Write that book.
Yeah. Writethatbook.co.uk. That tells you some of the author stuff. Or find me on social and connect and ask me questions. And I'd love to help any way that I can. Always.
Our helper.
Your newsletters are great.
Yes.
I'm sure you can sign up at there at michaelheppell.com. So, well, we are honored to have you here today. I mean, we were so excited, and we hope to have you back again, obviously. So, and see how far, how many more gazillion books are in the shot. So,
is there a new book in the horizon?
For me?
Yes.
I'll let you into a secret, because there's only us here, isn't there?
Right. Well, and I think 4 other people.
Yeah. I do want to write a fiction book.
Nice.
I think for the discipline of doing something very different. So I've got a concept and I've started to do stuff. I'm not loving it the same way as I do with nonfiction. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to just, get excited about it somehow. There'll be a moment that will come to do that. And then non-fiction stuff. Isn't that funny? I don't know why we don't call it fact.
Right.
Fiction and non-fiction.
It's very confusing.
Faction.
Faction. Yeah, that's it. My next faction book. I have an idea for something around customer service, because I really believe that customer service has gone backwards. For many years, we became better, and now I kind of feel like it's gone backwards a little bit. And I wanted to see if I can do something about that. And I've got a concept. I just need to test it and see whether that one will fly. And with that one, interestingly, I will go back to a publisher for it.
Okay.
Because I know the publisher who I would want.
Okay.
Yeah, I think customer service is a broad enough category that there's a pretty big demand to head down that route. Of course, my book's on customer delight, so
there we go.
I'm a little bit I'm a little bit biased on that topic, obviously. So,
Brian, how do I get my signed copy of Customer Delight?
Well, you just get us your address. We'll send it over. So,
okay, I'm going to message you straight after this. I want to see that. I will rave about it.
It's a great book. It's every day. It's something new. It's a quote and then Brian's take on it. It's a very good book.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I want
You'll
it.
love it. You will love it.
Look forward to sending it to you.
Well,
Thank you.
we're gonna send you back to the green room where we left you a bowl of M&Ms.
Thank you.
And then we're gonna do some quick outtakes, and then we'll be right back with you in the green room.
Okay.
Thanks,
you.
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go. That was wonderful.
Oh my god. Okay, I have like a gazillion takeaways. You know how we do this?
Oh, I know. I mean, it was a whole master class.
I know.
So,
We should probably pay him. Or
yeah.
Let's
Well,
not tell him that.
we haven't paid Barry yet from
That's
last
true.
week. So
for our love lessons.
or Steve Rizzo. So I mean, I don't know. We're in debt now. So
I know. Okay, so it's okay not to print 10,000 books. It's okay to do 50, 250, whatever you need so you're not breaking the budget. You're not breaking the bank, so to speak. I love that. I love the Voice That Book. And he gave us the Otter AI. That's a great tip for our listeners. Again, the reason, it's important to have the reason that you're writing your book. When you're getting expert advice, listen to it. If you have the ability to get some great advice, you should follow it. And then my favorite, write shite. It's true.
Write shite.
You can't write shite for 17 minutes. That is a fact. I mean, I've lived it, and now, Brian, I know you're going to try it.
Oh, I've been writing shite for a long time.
Oh God.
I am totally okay with writing. I say that grammar is not important. Just get the crap down. So,
great. Now Phil wants us to pay him.
oh, Phil. Sorry, Phil, it wasn't in your contract.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't read your contract. The fine print.
You're a friend. I mean, no.
So thank you, everybody, for joining in today. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching this on the replay, let us know where you're watching as well. Ask questions. If you have questions for any of our guests, feel free to put them in the comments, and we will get the questions to the guest in an answer for you. So, Brian, thank you again for spending your Saturday morning with me.
Yeah, real quick, who do we got next week?
Next week we have Sarah. I always say her name wrong.
McGuff, is it?
McGo. Oh, she's written this fabulous book, the Flamingo Family, and it's about adoption, and it's a children's book, and it's a beautifully written, heartfelt book about adoption. And she felt a need for there it is right there. Eddie finds his home. Yes, I love that book. So, and
thanks,
then
Michael from the green room.
Michael.
Let's bring him back.
Oh, there you are. There you go. Eddie finds a home.
Thanks, Michael.
McGuff, thank you. I always massacre people's names. I don't know what's wrong with me. And our last guest, or 2 guests ago, I called her Betty, and her name was Debbie.
You put me back now.
Okay.
All right, bye, Michael.
And then we have Richard Thomas, who wrote The End of the Line. Sorry, Max getting antsy. And then Will Polston, North Star Thinking. So we've got a great lineup for the month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everybody. Wonderful group. So you want to kick us out
we're
both out of here as well?
Saturday, everybody.
See you next week, everybody.
Yes.